Hey guys, welcome to the Editor's Picks video from Premier Guitar at NAMM Day 4. Last day of the show. Everything's pretty much being torn down now. We got impromptu drum circles over there, so if you hear some crazy noise in the background, that's that. We have Tyler Larson from musiciswin.com here with us.
What's
Thanks
up?
for coming, Tyler.
Thanks for having me.
So we are all going to do what we've been doing the last 3 days of the show. If you missed those, go back and check them out because there's cool stuff every day of the show. Today we're going to talk about our favorites from the floor. Anybody want to go first? Tyler, you want to
I'll
go
go
first?
first. Sure. I have the specs here as a cheat sheet, but this is the PRS Schizoid. It's a signature guitar for Jacko Jakchik, who is the guitar player for King Crimson. And it's probably the coolest looking guitar here. If you're seeing it now, I would imagine. It's the artwork from the first Crimson album, and it's really, you know, not necessarily what you would expect from PRS because they tend to have like really elegant, beautiful looking instruments. This is something that is jarring, and so from the aesthetic, it's really catches anybody's eye. And I actually got to hang out with Jacko and interview him, and he was playing it, and if you're seeing the picture of me and him together, I look like I'm getting punched in the face a little bit because he made me play his tuning chord, which is this chord that makes your hand go like this, and it's he's playing the same chord and he's going like this. To get guitar is concerned, he says that his main influence is Alan Holdsworth, and the way he plays is really kind of smooth like that, but also obviously very technical. When he's playing, and yeah, essentially it's the coolest guitar that I've seen at this show.
We saw that up there when we were up shooting some other videos there. And is it just the graphics? Is the pickups pretty much standard?
Yeah, I'm
custom graphics?
So that's why I wanted to get this right. So it's an SE model, so it has these, let's see, what do we have here? Neck shape, fretboard, mahogany, 24 frets, 25-inch scale length, wide, thin, rosewood with the bird inlays. And as far as the pickups go, I'm not quite sure, actually. I think it could be just the standard SE pickups that come with it. But there's 1,000 of them that they're making, and I am going to try and get my hands on one of them.
Nice. Who wants to go next? I'll go.
Okay.
So first, yesterday, or the day before, I don't remember. They're all blending together. But so I was walking the floor when I was off video duty, and I ran into David Torn. If you guys don't know him, he's been doing crazy avant dreamscape stuff for a long time. He's really inspiring to me. He does stuff where he has microphones built into his guitars, and he'll sample his band while they're playing and then mix it up digitally. Anyway, so I'm like, David, what have you seen at the show besides the Sound City amps he was demoing? What else have you seen that you thought was really cool? And he chose one thing. He's like, you have to check out this new pickup system from Finnish builder Juha Ruokangas Guitars. And we had gotten a press release before the show when it came in, and I think that Jason, you felt the same way, where like we saw like the diagram and we didn't quite get what it was all about when we got the press release, but when we went and saw it, it has two tubes built into this one pickup system in the middle of the guitar, only one pickup.
Is it humbucker sized?
It's humbucker sized. We have a video of it that you should be out pretty soon, probably today. I don't know. There's a really cool story about it, but it basically it's tubes built into the pickup, and they have to be powered by this box. So the signal of your guitar and power, phantom power, come from this outboard pedal. And it's just one pickup for the whole guitar in the middle, but you can switch it and get all these different sounds, kind of like neck pickup, middle pickup, and bridge pickup, but different. There's a lot more fidelity to it. It's a different sound, and I mean, it's definitely like a niche thing for people, you know, with a little extra money to spend on something really unique, but the story about it and the sounds were really captivating. I would encourage you guys to go watch it. And the guitar you see there is their Mojo King model, which is a really great guitar. I reviewed that a few years ago, but it was neat to hear that story.
What's the pickup sound like? Is it like single coily, or is it like?
It's hard to explain. There's really good articulation. It's kind of a different sound, but you can approximate different, kind of like neck and bridge pickup and all that. It's a really interesting story. He did it because a customer of his who is like a World War II technology expert who like knows everything about tubes and stuff. He's like, hey, I want you to build me a guitar like if they would build an electric guitar in 1895. What would it have been like? So they did all this research, and he's like, well, speakers were finally invented in 1930, so that kind of guided how they built stuff. And the guitar you see there is not that guitar, because this guy bought the one that looked like it was from 1895. But anyway, it was a cool story.
Just check that video out.
Yeah, I want to check it out. Perry and I were, you could either think of it as stuck or blessed to be in pedal land all day, or all afternoon anyways.
That's a blessing.
It is. Yeah, better than the drum land or whatever. So I stopped by the CopperSound booth, and they come out to me and said, hey, we got this new harmonic tremolo that you need to check out. I said, cool. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do a video on it, but I got some pictures and some information about it and played it. And it's called the Loma Prieta. Loma Prieta. And as you can see, so it has kind of the standard volume rate depth that you might see on any tremolo, but it has the a grit knob, which is a new overdrive circuit for them that they built in, and you can either turn it all the way off if you don't want to, or kind of add in some real, and it's not like overpowering the tremolo. And then there's a knob that goes between 4 different wave functions, but the black knob was the most interesting to me. So the left side is the on-off button switch, the right side is a momentary switch. And the black knob changes the function of the momentary switch. So it can either go into double time mode, so wherever you have the rate set, you hold it down and it can do the stuttering thing.
Momentary?
Momentary, yep. And then the next one is maxing out the gain control. So if it's on the distortion setting, no matter where the grit knob is, when you push it down, it maxes it all the way out. But it's not like an uncontrollable thing. Then the third one is the lo-fi, where you kind of have this cool degrading sound on the harmonic tremolo. And then the last one is just like a straight tap tempo. And then
those dudes at CopperSound are always impressing me, and like, they're like young guys,
Yeah.
and like I think this might be their third NAMM.
Yeah, they did. A lot of people know them from the Telegraph pedal.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, which
I know
is really
it's
cool.
such a simple little idea, but that one's
They're
cool.
Boston-based, right?
They're Boston, yeah.
I think I actually know them. They're Berkeley people, right?
I'm not sure about that, but I know they're from Boston. They live in Boston. They're based out of Boston.
CopperSound. That's interesting. The first time I saw them was at Summer NAMM, actually, in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did we. And I think it was like $199. And then there's a switch on the back where you can go from harmonic to normal tremolo, But the momentary distortion and the double effect was pretty cool, because you could set it up to be kind of a bunch of different flavors of fairly standard harmonic trem, or you can get the weird sputtery, chop stuff that you can get. Yeah. I was really impressed with that one.
Sweet. Did you have something, or did he steal yours?
No.
I stole them all.
Man, so Jason and I are going to have to both claim this one because we were at this video appointment together.
Yeah.
But nothing new here. Joel over at Chase Bliss and Mr. Benson
Chris
blowing
Benson,
my
yeah.
freaking mind every NAMM. But we show up today and they've got this preamp pedal, and it's based on Chris's first
Benson
preamp pedal, the Benson
the
preamp.
Benson preamp.
And this thing I think is called the preamp pedal Mark II
yep.
or something. Oh man, automated.
Yeah, so like
faders
they got together,
for presets. Oh,
and
God.
what Joel wanted to do, he's like, I love the preamp you design, but I want presets. So they kind of came up with this form factor where you see these kind of like studio sliders, and then there's a row of 5 or 6 push buttons, and then 2 foot switches. So it can hold, I think, 30 presets. And then as you change presets, the sliders are automated. And there's a fuzz circuit built in. There's a mid-level and a frequency for the mids, so you can almost get like spacey, wow, that kind of warbly thing.
So it's more than a preamp pedal. It's like an EQ pedal with fuzz.
Well, I think it's a preamp with just so many controls that
Yeah.
you can get so many sounds out of it. You can do gated fuzz or open fuzz. There's a Q control, a mid boost, and from what Joel is saying, is that this shape, because almost all of Chase Bliss's pedals look the same.
Yeah.
They just do different things. This is going to be his next platform for other.
Yeah,
pedals.
I guess it's a whole new series.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing that really blew my mind about it is there was not one bad sound in it. Like everything, man. I mean, they were playing through a Benson amp, which sounded great, and the second that sucker was on, it was like a whole new amp in every single setting. So for a minute there, he just kind of was clicking through presets while we were, just noodling around, and it was like, what? This is so useful.
He doesn't really have a estimated release date or price because, in his words, he has to try and break it for a little while.
He's going to literally jump
he's
going to
try and stomp on it and break it,
nice.
and then once he I think he's settled on the functionality of it, but once he kind of sources the right components to stand up, because he really wants people to use this live and not just in a studio. Once he figures that out, then he'll have more information about release and pricing and all that.
Tyler, you want to go next?
Sure. Another guitar is from D'Angelico, and it's a Bob Weir signature guitar, new for this year. And you have to see it. The picture doesn't necessarily do it justice. It's stone is the color, but it sort of has this mauve look to it, which is like a really deep, muted purple. And it's funny because I always start with the aesthetics of the guitar, and then I go in to the actual pickups, which I do know these ones because it was really interesting, the design of these. It's a Lawler single coil in the middle, and then P90s on either side. And the interesting thing, though, is it's a 5-way sort of Strat-style pickup selection, but you can blend between the P90s. So it's really, you're blending between the bridge or the neck P90, but you can be in the split 4/5 position and blending in more of the bridge sound. So it's
kind of like on some
bases. And it's weird. So it sort of reminded me like like having an EQ knob and a tone knob on your guitar. And it looks sick. It sort of comes back.
Any idea how much it costs?
No, but
a lot.
A lot. Maybe something that you have to save up for, but sometimes the best things are.
Cool. See, my next one would be, there are the last few years have been like a trifecta of great Greek pedal builders that have been coming here. Well, I guess longer than that for a couple of them, but Tsakalis AudioWorks. I'm not a circuit guy. I do not do mod kits or DIY stuff. I'll change my pickups and my tubes or adjust my truss rod, but I don't build stuff. But apparently people who do that stuff were really impressed with the fact that Chris Tsakalis has 0 capacitors in the tone circuit of this pedal, which really increases the headroom, the articulation, because it has coupling capacitors, which has to do with the adjustment of voltage for the input and output or whatever. I don't know that stuff. I told you. But in the tone circuit itself, no capacitors. People who know that are like, no way, is that even possible? They think it might be at first. But beyond that, that's not the vibe, the whole thing about the pedal. It has 6 voices. It's called the Six. And it has various combinations of tones from 3 pretty famous pedals. The Timmy, the King of Tone, and the Bluesbreaker?
Bluesbreaker,
yeah. And
combinations too.
Yeah, they're like mixtures of sounds from all those.
So you can blend the sound of the 3?
Yeah, not just straight up models of each one, but blends of them.
One of the settings is, I think there's 2 overdrive, 2 distortion, and then a couple of the settings are those 2 previous circuits combined.
Crazy.
You can't. I don't think you can adjust individual ones in there, but that's one of the settings.
And there's also a voltage doubler, so you can get even more headroom. You don't need a separate special 18-volt power supply. You can just use a regular 9-volt, but you can flip the toggle and get 18 volts for more headroom. It's pretty cool.
It's cool. Chris is a pretty interesting guy, man. He's always finding weird ways around stuff,
Those are good
always
dudes.
enjoyed his pedal.
Good dudes.
All right. I got one more. Perry and I, again, another pedal. We were at the Electro Faustus booth. And so Perry and I come rolling up to this booth. We introduce ourselves. And I didn't really, I saw the appointment on the schedule. I didn't really know a lot about exactly what they were going to show us. So I sit down, and Joe, the guy there, was like, check this out. And he hits the button on this Electro Faustus Simulacrum. Oh. And all of a sudden, I heard my voice coming out of the amp saying Premier Guitar. And I look at Perry, and we're like, what? Like,
where's that coming from?
What is that? He's like, oh, last night I went online, I found one of your videos, I snipped the audio of you saying Premier Guitar, and I put it in this. And so he's like riffing over this sample of my voice saying Premier Guitar. So the idea behind this pedal is that you can, it's a sampler, and each side of the pedal has 2 different banks, so you can do up to 4 different samples.
I think it was like 15 minutes each per sample.
Quite a bit. And so basically you plug this pedal into your computer via USB, and depending on how the file names of the audio will dictate whether it's like a one-shot, whether it's a sequence of things. And he said that it's very detailed instructions, so that way if you go in. But
you want to know the story behind that?
Please.
How this happened?
Yeah.
So when I was off camera duty yesterday, I was sitting there, and an Ilya from GameChanger Audio, which did the plasma fuzz with the lightning inside it and all that. He was walking around, or he came up and he's like, we were just talking, and he said, I bought a pedal today, and he told me it was a pedal from Electro Faustus. Their with the guitar disaster something or other, I forget. It's like a fuzz. So I was like, oh, cool. I know that pedal. And I couldn't remember, but then I realized later when Robin Fink from Nine Inch Nails was walking around, I was like, that's where I saw the Electro Faustus pedal before. Guitar Disruptor is what it was.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went to their booth, and I was like, do you guys have anything new? Because we had a few slots to fill, and I wanted to do cool stuff. And they're like, no, we just have this stuff. It's not built for guitars. We have a theremin, and did they do the theremin?
We did,
Yeah,
we
which
did
is actually
the
really
theremin.
cool.
Yeah,
So
that was cool.
they had the theremin, and then they had this thing. It's just regular size pedal, and I was like, and they're like, yeah, we don't want to do anything. I was like, well, you can plug a guitar in it, right? They're like, yeah, we'll pass the signal. I was like, dude, lots of people when they're on stage want to be able to trigger samples to cover up space between tuning or songs or whatever. Let's do it. So I totally it took a while to convince them, but I was like, I wanted to do the video. I was like, no, Jason will be doing it. So that's why they had heads up and
Well,
got
he
your
swore to
name
me
in
up
there.
and down that he had no idea it was going to be me showing up. He just picked one at random, but
Oh, guys.
that's his story.
Serendipity.
Okay, do you have any? You had a couple more, right?
I don't know if we have pictures of them. I guess I can just use honorable mentions. Some pedals that you guys have probably seen, the Wampler Terraform, which is a modulation pedal with like a billion awesome sounds. It's a pedal that you can probably never finish using as far as like searching for different tones. You were just talking about harmonic tremolo, and it does. One of the settings I was using was a harmonic tremolo, and I paired it with their delay, and that's actually my favorite 2-pedal combination is harmonic tremolo and delay. It sort of makes you feel like you're sipping a latte in a cloud or something. It's just like this big milky wall. And then the JHS pedals, it's called the Clover, which is like this preamp, clean boost equalization pedal. It's probably the most boring sounding description you can give for a pedal, but it makes your tone like So those are my 2 honorable mentions.
Gives it more body and
Yeah. Just you can use it as a boost and not take advantage of the EQ settings, or there's an option where you can use just the bass and treble and skip over the mid section, or you can use all 3 EQ selections, bass, mid, treble, and then make those adjustments before your guitar signal gets to the amp, and there's that boosting element, and it's just sort of like a tone fattening device.
nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more, or should I take us out with my last one?
Actually, I got one more.
Okay.
So speaking of Ilya, I was over by there, and Ilya and I are kind of buddies because we both have a pet chicken. It's a weird story. But we trade chicken stories sometimes. And so we go over to his booth, and they have a new pedal, and they're still kind of working on it. They don't know when it's going to be available yet. And it's not even for guitar. We show up, and they have this new oscillation pedal. It's their whole new, I guess for this year, you know how they do like themes of weird stuff? Well, this year it's going to be motors. So they have this pedal that they kind of made for synthesizer.
The motor pedal.
It's called the motor pedal, and so it has these 3 little motors that oscillate and change the sounds and all these knobs, and I don't really even understand how it works, but it was making some of the craziest sounds. You know, like those dudes make wacky stuff anyway.
He told me about that when he told me about the Electro Faustus pedal, and he told me that the pedal is for guitar, and that they had the keyboard with. Because I didn't know that Hammond organs, like old Hammond organs, operate on the same principle, of like picking up sound from rotating motors.
Yeah. So the way, actually, when we showed up, it was hooked up to a keyboard that they had built.
Because their keyboard stopped working because they had just finished it the other night, and then something happened. So.
Dang, that's too bad. But we were like, to do a video, we kind of need a guitar. He's like, well, let me plug a guitar into this and see if we can get some sounds going. Because I think they're still kind of working out the kinks.
It's a total early prototype.
Yeah, but I mean, if you guys in the next day or two take a look online, if you're into just silly, weird, soundscapey noises.
I think Ilya and the guys at GameChanger are some of the most creative people in the pedal business.
Oh, I agree. I mean, they're doing stuff that I would never even think of. It's
Every
so outside
pedal,
of the box.
Looks different shape, has some kind of different mechanic or electrical mechanism going on. I mean,
yeah. So this one, do they have a name?
Yeah, it's called the
motor
pedal.
Okay, so it's literally just using like either guitar pickups or microphones or something to just take the sound from these spinning motors, and then you can tweak the speed of it and the tone and all filters and stuff.
Yeah, there's like all kinds of different modulations for it. It's kind of like a synthesizer in a way. How it works.
But mechanical.
Yeah, but also like I don't know the sounds that were coming out of it.
As you're playing, you can like twist knobs, envelope knobs, and
right.
It was. I mean, I wish I knew
so
enough
cool.
to really do it justice to exactly what it's doing. You know,
when
but
Ilya
it
was
sounded
talking
good.
about, he was like, we might do it for guitars. Like, dude, you got to do that. You got to.
Yeah, and it sounded really cool. They also now have the plasma in a rack format, which is kind of cool. But
okay, my last one. Another great company from Greece, Crazy Tube Circuits. We looked at 3 pedals of theirs in a video today, but one of them I'm choosing one of those. It's called the Sidekick, and they called it like, they were joking, it's like the 80s in a box, but it's got 3-foot switches for 3 different circuits. Starts with chorus flanger, you can push a button to alternate between those, and then in the middle is a delay circuit. It's a digital delay, but it sounds really nice. And when it mixes with a reverb circuit at the end, which has like 3 different voicing modes, it sounded awesome. I told them in the video, like, shimmer, reverb has kind of become a huge thing, since Blue Sky came out from Strymon and all that. I've never been much of a fan of shimmer myself. Hate me if you want, but the shimmer in that one sounded really cool. And when they mixed it all, I was like, that's not the 80s in the box. Maybe it can do that, but it sounded really cool. When
Maybe
they
it was
did
the
like
80s in Greece.
when they brought it into made the delay oscillate and feedback and all that, it sounded really good. Plus it had like DI out and headphone amp and cab simulation, and not in a big box. It sounded
Maybe
really
they were
great.
very forward thinking and they meant the 2080s. So it's very futuristic.
Right.
they're going to sound just like that.
That's right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Check out all our other NAMM videos from the show. Tyler, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
I'm sorry we did not have beer. I
it's
promised
okay.
Tyler beer.
I had one.
Beer the
It's
other
okay.
days.
That's how we bribe him to show up.
But they closed the booth early. I feel very bad.
Well, next time.
This is unacceptable,
I
Sean.
know, this is torture, isn't it? Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. Check out all our other stuff on YouTube and premierguitar.com, wherever you are on social. Later.